Hey guys, so I want to make a video on all the blocks that mobs cannot spawn on because when I was looking online I could not find like a list or even an updated video or anywhere that kind of said it for Bedrock version. So this is Bedrock. The last update to come out was 1.19, the wild update. So all the blocks on the left are blocks that mobs cannot spawn on. All the blocks on the right are blocks that you may think they can't spawn on, but definitely can spawn on. So left is can't spawn on, right is can spawn on. This is excluding light too, because some mobs can spawn at any light level. Some of the nether mobs, like hoglins. So this is excluding light levels, just purely based on the block itself, whether a mob can spawn on it or not. General rule of thumb with spawning is the surface has to be a full top block, basically. Like slabs and stairs, they can spawn on the top when they're placed like this. And if you can walk through it, then usually they can spawn there. So that's usually how it works. So now I'll just kind of go through the items individually. So to start out, walls, fences, gates, stairs. If stairs are placed like that, doors they can't. Trap doors are a little weird because they can't spawn on it at all. So if it's like that, they can't spawn on it, and then also like that, they can't spawn on the top here or the bottom there. And then also if it's on the wall. So basically, if the trapdoor is in that box, it stops it. It's a little weird, but then it also stops them standing on top of it, which I did do a test of. Iron bars, glass panes. This one's a little weird. So scaffolding, they can't spawn on top, but they can spawn in the block. So basically, they can't spawn on this surface, but they can spawn down there if that block is spawnable. If that kind of makes sense. So since that's grass, they can spawn down there. Bottom slab, no. Carpet, which is a common one. Farmland, they can't. And then also if you have crops on here, they can't. Path block, cactus, they can't spawn on. Leaves, they can't. And then also the new added mangrove roots, they can't. So these kind of act as a similar block. Bamboo, they can't. I did a test with that where I put a bunch of bamboo on a platform, which I'll show you near the end of the video, but they wouldn't spawn in between, even though you think they may because there's enough space, they never did spawn between. Dripstone, they can't spawn on any size dripstone. Moss carpet, they can't. Amethyst clusters, they can't any size. Magma block stops most of them except for the ones that are fire resistant. So for example, magma cubes are fire resistant, zombified piglin, gas, and squid. Coarse flower, and then also the coarse plant they can't. Cake, bed, lantern, fire. I'll just kind of slowly walk past all these. Which, yeah, nobody's gonna spawn proof their world with that. Hoppers, yeah, they can't spawn on top of hoppers. They're a little weird. And then I also did a test on the platform with these ones, with banners. I placed banners like all on the platform like that, and no mobs spawn there. I didn't test if it's on a wall, but the way I looked up how like the game works and how it decides spawning or whatever, I'm pretty sure if it's like that, then they also will not spawn right there. And then also chains. So that's all of, I'll just do a quick glance. That's all of the blocks that mobs cannot spawn on. And then also the redstone components mobs can't spawn on just because they're a redstone component. So, for example, all the rails they cannot spawn on. This one's weird because it is like a solid surface on top, but because it's a redstone component, they can't spawn on top. And I may be wrong with that because it was super confusing and hard to find info on it. But I'm pretty sure mobs cannot spawn on it because it is a redstone component like these listed. Redstone dust. Also, if you've like placed it any all on the floor. Mobs can't spawn there except for zombified piglins, which zombified piglins spawn very different than other spawns, other mobs. Their rules are whack, but usually followed with most of the other stuff. But that one's one of the weird ones where they will spawn on redstone dust. Redstone torch, a lever, and a lever also stops mobs from spawning in that block. So not just because it's placed on the ground, but if it resides in that same block. So if it's on the wall, it'll stop spawns on that block down there. If it's on the ceiling, it'll stop mobs spawning from right there. Same with buttons. So if buttons on the wall will stop mobs from spawning there. Buttons are one of the best ways to spawn proof areas for cheap. You can just spam them all on the ground everywhere. But if you wanted, you could also put it on the wall and it'd stop them from spawning on the floor right there. Tripwire hook stops them, but not string, and I'll look at that later. Pressure plate stops them. Repeater and comparator stop them. So these purely stop it because they're redstone components. Now, for all the ones that you would think stop it, but don't. So mobs can spawn on all of these, regardless of light level, like not putting in light level into consideration. So I tested snow. They can spawn on any layer of snow. And then, like I said, they can still spawn on a slab if it's top and stair if it's top. Ladder, they can still spawn here. These ones a little weird, but they definitely can't. They definitely can spawn on there. Saplings they can spawn on, and most of these, like I said before, you can walk through, and they can spawn on all of these. The vines, they can spawn on vines, weeping vines, twisting vines. I've seen zombies spawn on lily pads, which that may be different for Java, but in Bedrock I've seen it. Seagrass, like underwater mobs can spawn in these. Dead bush. They can spawn on top of the azalea bush. Or azalea. Azalea bush. They can spawn on that. This one, like you can also walk through. They can spawn on that, spawn on that. This one's a little weird because you think they wouldn't because it does interact with you, but I did do a test on the platform with a bunch of these and I saw zombies and skeletons spawn in all of that. Torches, you can walk through. They can spawn on that block, but like I said before, this is just the block itself if it stops spawns. So since it has light, it'll stop spawns, but if it doesn't care about light level for spawning, then it can still spawn here. Sea pickles, candles, signs, you can walk through. They can spawn there. Paintings, item frames, flower pot, skull, which I tested the skulls on the platform. Mobs did spawn there. I didn't test the other heads, but I'm pretty sure they do, and nobody's really gonna spawn proof their world with heads. Conduit, nobody's gonna spawn proof their world with that either. String, I did test string on the platform, and mobs did spawn when I had string everywhere on the platform. End rod, and then these redstone components. Sorry, these are like redstone items, kind of, but they can definitely still spawn on them, if that makes sense. And then armor stands, they can still spawn on. Now, same with these blocks. These are all the light blocks. And since their surface is full on top, mobs can still spawn there. And like I said, disregarding light. So most of these will stop most of the mobs. But if the mobs don't care about light, like hoglins will spawn on this. And I witnessed hoglins spawn on a whole platform of sea lanterns. Now, some weird ones that I'm not sure about are sweet berries, because you can walk through it, but it still slows you down, and then it also hurts you. So that may stop a mob, but I'm not sure with that and couldn't find research on it really. And then beacons. Beacons are just freaking weird, so I have no idea, and nobody's really gonna spawn proof their world with beacons. Yeah, so that's basically it. I'll kind of just scan through them again real quick, just so you can kind of see them all a little faster. So you can kind of just jump through the video. because I could not find freaking any info online of just like a simple list of Bedrock's non-spawnable blocks. And then I'm also doing a frog farm, and so the farm is in a crimson forest. The bastion is in a crimson forest, and so I'm trying to spawn proof it for hoglins. So that's why I dove really deep into this, because I'm trying to stop hoglins from the farm, and maybe I'll do a video on that too. And then I also want to show you the test world that I had. So this is basically the platform that I just built high up in the air, and then I just placed an item everywhere on it, and then basically stood back 24 blocks because that's when mobs can spawn. I think it's like 24 to 44 or something, but I'd kind of just hang out here and then watch. So here with the armor stands, I had mobs spawning on it when they were still here. And yeah, that's basically it. If you have any more info about how spawns work, or if some of my items are wrong or whatever, or anything, this can kind of be a video where everybody can comment and we can kind of all figure out together where mobs can spawn on top of, because I could not find a place online to have a space for that. And now we can all figure out that. I don't know. It just sucked when I was looking up to try to find what blocks were non-spawnable, and I just couldn't. So I had to do tons of research. So hopefully this will be able to be good for everybody. Yeah, I'll try to answer comments too. I don't know. This is just my first video, so there's the info. Thanks, guys. Peace.